Hello there, and thank you for checking into this video. My name is Merete, and I'm from Denmark, and I design knitwear on Instagram and Ravelry. You can find me under MereteKdesign. And today I decided to make a video trying to explain my cognitive disabilities that prevents me from writing patterns the way that you kind of expect to be able to write patterns today. And this is to make a one video that I can refer to when I publish patterns. So there is one place where I talk about it, and I don't talk about it every time I want to present a pattern. So yes, so let's get into it. I'm early retired because I have some cognitive disabilities caused by stress. I got stress in 2018, and now we are in 2023, and some improvement has been there, but I still struggle a lot. Some of the things that I struggle with is that I get really fast exhausted, tired in my head, and things like that. And I also can get more emotionally and sensitive to things. And usually when I use too much energy, is usually the phrase I use. I get kind of illness symptoms. And when I have tried to make patterns and grade them and like do a lot of computer work that is complex, it sets off many of my illness symptoms. I have tried for periods to push myself, and when I push myself doing the complex computer work, it usually results in more illness days, more tiredness. I'm not as creative. I kind of shut down in different levels, and I don't spend as much time with my family and things like that. Also, I have tried to have my patterns in tests, and I've experienced if I've had more than 2 testers, and this is really embarrassing, I have forgot about one of the testers simply because I can't. There's not room in my head to coordinate many inputs and people, so it results in me forgetting important things. So testing and coordinating is really difficult for me, and I also get really stressed out when people come with comments. Not that I don't want to take them in, but because I'm kind of a person that is a pleaser, I want to make everybody happy. So if they're not happy, I kind of that sets off a lot of emotions in me, so having more than one tester is totally off a possibility for me. So so even if I were able to grade, I'm not able to get it tested. And the last thing is that I also try to have multiple versions released in English and in Danish language. And if there is a correction to one of the to the pattern, I have to remember to correct it both places. And the pattern writing has been really exhausting for me doing two versions. So so for a long time I actually didn't publish patterns. I just told everyone on Instagram that I won't be doing patterns. If I'm doing anything exciting, it will be a one-piece version. It will be what I would call wearable art. It's just gonna be out there for me to look at and for you to look at pictures, and that's it. And I got quite sad about that. Also because there is a lot of talking about being inclusive in the knitting community, and for me, inclusivity or being inclusive means not only being inclusive for a certain bust size. It also means being inclusive for disabilities, heights, lengths, and also to be inclusive for new designers that is trying to make it in the big knitting world. Maybe not be so as I have so many expectations to new designers that they need to be able to grade patterns in many sizes. It's a big discussions about being inclusive. Sorry, but I also wanted to turn it to people like me and new designers that because we have some disabilities or we are new to writing pattern, maybe we should also become included in the knitting community. And I told that on Instagram, and many people were really supportive and said, publish your patterns, you don't have to grade them, etc., etc. And I kind of think of my patterns as being patterns for the more adventurous knitters, because sometimes they're pretty special. And this one is maybe a good example because it's it's a cherry on top poncho. It's asymmetrical it's kind of like a poncho on one side and more like a pullover on the other side. And I am fully aware that that kind of design is not for everyone, like just the look of it. But for some people it is. And those people would really like to be able to get my patterns and knit one for themselves. So I feel that I kind of could benefit from writing patterns, because when you are early retired, you also are looking for some kind of new identity. It's really hard just not being contributive to the society anymore. And when in Denmark we are brought up to be workers, so not being a worker is it's really difficult. So I've struggled a lot with identity issues, and being able to put out a pattern that people enjoy gives me a lot of joy. And so I have decided to publish my patterns and telling that the patterns is in one size, and that they are for the adventurous or more experienced knitter. But I don't want to just put out a pattern and then leave you all to just figure everything out yourself if you decide to modify the size. So I actually put quite a lot of thoughts into how to modify the pattern to grade it. For instance, this cherry on top is a really good example. You cast on here, and because there's no sleeve, it fits everyone. And then this panel is you're able to make that smaller or wider, which increases the size of the neckline. And this part is exactly the same in all sizes. So this panel just tells you, or helps you make it fit around your neck. And then there is instruction on how to repeat this shoulder section as long as you want. And there is instruction on how to determine the circumference of your sleeve, and so forth and so forth. So and sometimes I also include like small calculations, do the math like this and this, so you are able to use that calculation to determine the size or the number of stitches or whatever you need. And also think a lot about the fit on the body. Like, I'm totally aware that if you have a bigger size, you have more tissue usually around here. So how will it, for instance, the one I'm wearing now, how will that fit? And how is it supposed to be sized up? So I try to give a guideline to how to resize it, but the resizing is up to the knitter. And the choices up to the knitter. And I quite like that thought, because it gives a knitter some kind of freedom, but still some guidelines. And as a knitter, we usually modify anyway something, like we add a longer sleever or so forth. Also this, for instance, I've begun to think about when I design patterns that I don't make the design before I have made some thoughts about the sizing and how to explain how to resize it. So the neckline of this design looked much different first, and I struggled a lot with how to, sorry my bad English, how to make like, you know, explain to people how to resize it. So the neckline was kind of like a V, and how do you kind of resize that? Well, that's a long story. So I decided to make a large boat neck or round neck that essentially would fit all sizes. And then because you knit these parts first and the necklines afterwards, you can make the neckline smaller and smaller, like so it fits a smaller size. So that's kind of how I begin to think about my patterns, to be like inclusive for all sizes, in a way where I could have just kept the neckline that I did first, but then I would have ruled out all the larger sizes. So to be kind of inclusive, I make the neckline really big, so it's and smaller afterwards. So it's modifiable, but you still do all the math and the modifying yourself, but I guide you. And I think about my patterns, how to write them, so I can guide from the beginning. So sometimes my patterns is also a bit longer, because there is a bit more explanations than you usually will find. I'm sorry. But yeah, my background is actually being a system analyst for IT systems. So I think my way of thinking and structuring information and writing the patterns is based in that. So if you kind of notice that it's very boom, 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 written out and very structural and things like that, it's because of that. And yeah. Also, because I don't get a test knitted usually, or I only have one test knitter, um, there can be errors in them, in the patterns, but I really read my patterns like a million times before publishing them again, because I get really sick when people comment that there are things that are not working out for them. So I'm really thorough in my pattern writing, and also the times where I've had my patterns tested. Um, the tester always comment that my descriptions are really easy to understand, and they are there is not a lot of errors. So I'm more confident now that it's okay to release a pattern that hasn't been tech edited or maybe tested. I usually have one tester for my patterns, but I also have been a test knitter for example, Stephen West. So I'm used to like notifying or noticing what makes a good pattern. So I really do a lot to make my patterns readable. And if not, I feel really bad if people aren't successful with my patterns. Um, so I always are open to being contacted. You can contact me by writing messages on Ravelry, or include my email address in my patterns, or you can also write me a private message on Instagram. So I try to answer everybody and help everybody. Of course, if for some reason I have noticed that some knitters that are picking out my patterns is modifying them heavily, like using a really different yarn, for example, and different needle size, then it can be kind of hard for me to understand where I can help. But I usually have some idea, so I try as best as I can when I answer. Um, so yeah. Let me see. Yes, I have one more thing to say. Um, the patterns that I've published after this new way of doing it, you might say, are all offered on Ravelry at a variable price. I like the recognition of my work, and of course getting paid for the pattern, but I also understand that if you are really uncertain if you're able to knit my pattern, do you want to pay the full price? So I have a variable price structure where you can choose your own price, and many of the patterns is actually you're able to get for free even, and people are like, why are you doing that? But it's actually a very protective thing for me. I really cannot manage if I get like a hate situation targeted against me. If people are really angry with me or angry with my patterns or what they pay for, that would really set my my illness overboard. So it's a protective thing, that if I offer it for free and you get it for free, then of course I expect that you won't complain to me because you got it for free. It's your own responsibility where you take it from there. Yeah. Yes, I think that was about everything I wanted to say in this video. I want to publish it so it's always there for you to read if you or see if you don't remember why was it that these patterns weren't coming out in a lot of sizes and has been tested and all that. Yes, and I hope that you will accept me and include me, and I think you will see a lot of patterns from me in the future, because this is a way of freeing myself and my creativity. And yeah, so have a really nice day, and thank you for watching this video. Bye.